Hi, thank you for joining us today. We will be discussing different strategies for two different brands that are looking to branch out internationally. The first brand is Health Aid Kombucha, which is a brand based in LA that's trying to reach the Mexican market. And the second brand is a Mexican brand called Foshu, which sells superfoods and it's trying to branch out to the American market. So let's get started. We're going to start with a brief introduction. My name is Monica Ruiz. I'm a marketing director and consultant for Athens Co. I graduated from UCLA best of my class. I did two internships, one from Coca-Cola Company, the other one with Inditex. I have experience in the food industry and the retail industry for 10 plus years of experience, and I have helped over 150 companies grow their business. So what exactly is Athens Go? Well, we're a marketing agency that helps clients overcome their hardest obstacles through our services that lead in strategy, consulting, technology, and operations. We have experience in more than 40 sectors and we lead on the food, retail, tobacco, and automobile sectors. Our mission is to provide business intelligence in both national and international markets. We are based in Mexico. Currently, we have our offices in Monterrey, Mexico, and we have worked with different customers. Right now, our biggest customers are Ford, H&M, and Coca-Cola. And we have experience with a lot of companies. Actually, we collaborate with more than 75% of companies that belong to the Fortune Global 500. As I said before, our biggest customers are Ford, which is an automobile company. We help them branch out to Argentina. H&M, a retail company, we help them branch out to Mexico, and Coca-Cola, a beverage company, and we help them branch out to Mexico. So as you can see, we have a lot of experience dealing with international business management. When it comes to our services, we provide 4 different types. We have Athens Strategy, Athens Consulting, Athens Digital, and Athens Technology. All of them we use to help the companies that come work with us. We help them understand the new technologies, create different strategies, be more creative, and pretty much grow their business. So the first brand that reached out to us is called Health Aid Kombucha. It's a brand based in LA. It was created back in 2012. It is a pretty big company in the US, but that is the only place where you can find it. So they're trying to grow their business, so they thought, why not Mexico? But before we get into all that, let me explain really quickly what it is. So kombucha is a fermented drink. It's pretty popular between millennials. It is a healthy drink that helps your gut. So it's kind of like a good drink for your body. It's really healthy, it's organic, and the company really believes in cruelty-free products, so it is a vegan product as well. So Health Aid was created in 2012 by farmers who wanted to bring real food to the commercial shelf. The 3 people that you can see right there are the co-founders of Health Aid. The woman on the left is Diane Trout, the CEO. The man is Justin Trout, which is her husband. He's a co-founder, and the woman in yellow is Vanessa. She is the best friend, so she's also a co-founder. They pretty much started to grow their business pretty rapidly. Health Aid Kombucha is one of the brands that has grown the fastest in the history of kombucha. And their mission is to bring the best tasting and highest quality kombucha closer to the customer so they can become a happier, healthier version of themselves. So it's a pretty cool brand, and they are trying to reach the Mexican market. They are looking to branch out to other countries so they can turn their company into an international company. One of their main goals, as I said before, is to enter the Mexican market by the end of 2020. And they are trying to enter the Mexican market using an organic growth, meaning they will focus on new product development made specifically for the Mexican consumer. Now, speaking about the product itself, the word kombu is Japanese for kelp or seaweed. Kombucha is made by adding a culture to sweeten brew tea, so it's pretty much a live drink. The difference between Health Aid and the competition is that at Health Aid, They are proud to be one of the few brands that make kombucha the traditional real food way. As I said before, one of Health-Aid's main goals for the next year is to branch out to the Mexican market. One of the reasons why is because they're looking into building a second brewery. At the moment, they only have one, and they're trying to build a second one, so they thought, why not Mexico? The second factor is because kombucha has been growing really popular in the country. A lot of people are buying kombucha, so they're thinking it's a good plan. So the Mexican political system, we will be discussing the corruption, transparency, and the judicial system of the country. So corruption in Mexico, it's a significant risk for companies operating in Mexico. Business registration processes like getting construction permit and licenses are negatively influenced by corruption. Organized crimes are a very problematic factor for business, imposing large costs on companies. The economic system, Mexico is amongst the 15 world's largest economies, the second largest economy in Latin America, and the USA is Mexico's largest trading partner. The destination of 80% of its exports is with the USA, and the economic growth was driven by domestic demand, strong household consumption, and greater investments compared to 2018. When it comes to regulations, one of the main factors for the food industry is the labeling requirements. It is very, very important that you follow every single instruction. When it comes to the Mexican legal system, it is important to keep in mind the labeling requirements, since the Mexican importer is responsible for making sure that the products comply with the revised norms. For this reason, US exporters should work with someone that knows them pretty well. Now, with foreign direct investment, Mexico is one of the emerging countries most open to foreign direct investment. It is the world's largest FDI recipient. Investment mostly comes from the United States and Spain. In 2018, FDI inflows edged down to 31.6 billion from 32.1 billion USD in 2013. The sectors that receive the most FDI are finance, automobile, electronics, and energy. Now, some reasons why you should invest in Mexico. It's because it attracts the most FDI in Central and South America, and also the cost of labor is not very high and it's relatively well qualified. And the food industry is also one of the main invested sectors in the country, which is a really good thing for this type of product. Last year, the United States invested a 38.8% in Mexico. Now, for some weak factors, the country relies heavily on its partnership with the United States. Therefore, it is vulnerable to any changes to the free trade agreement. The level of corruption is high and the crime rate is rising, and very strong competition in certain sectors. So in Mexico, currently there are around 5 brands of kombucha, which can be a big trouble. When it comes to environmental regulations, for this type of company, we only worry about 2. First one, water pollution. The environmental law also regulates water pollution from a wide range of actions, including discharge from city and industrial and agricultural activities, use of pesticides and fertilizers, etc. And the air pollution, where the General Ecology Law regulates air pollution from both immobile and itinerant sources. For the workplace culture in Mexico, the country is known for its strong work ethic. According to the OECD, Mexico has the longest average working weeks, which is around 41.2 hours a week. Emotional investment, it's pretty normal in Mexico, and the negotiations proceed slowly as Mexicans like to create personal relationships first. Therefore, personal relationships play a large role in the Mexican business culture, and because of that, family networks are the foundation of their business culture, meaning that most of the businesses here in Mexico are founded and created by families. So if you want to start your business here, you really need to create personal connections with the people you want to work with. When it comes to Mexican employment laws, it is, there's only one federal labor law that is aimed at the protection of employees, and the employers encourage an open and active union engagement in the workplace. It's not really common for Mexicans to pretty much live to work like Americans do. They are more working just so they can get the money to pay their bills. When it comes to Mexico's trade policy details, Mexico has signed numerous trade agreements throughout the years, and it has led to substantial trade liberalization. Mexico ranks 15 in exports and 14 in imports in world trade. And also, the country has reduced and eliminated tariffs on goods, which is pretty good if you're going to be exporting a lot of products to the country. And in the topic of free trade agreements with other countries, Mexico's top free trade agreements are bilateral, meaning two country partnership, and multilateral, meaning three or more country partnerships. They include NAFTA, Japan, Pacific Alliance, and Central America. Over 80% of Mexico's exports are destined for the United States, but in an effort to increase trade with other countries, Mexico has entered into 11 free trade agreements with 46 countries. Now, when it comes to the Mexican purchasing power, 150,248 is the median salary in Mexico, and the average salary for a full-time employee is about 162,154 pesos. The middle class is the only social class that has increased its purchasing power throughout the years. On another note, the Mexican consumer follows the next criteria: product, quality, practicality, price, and the customer service is a really important factor. Mexico is a Latin American country with the most e-commerce, with 85% of people buying at least one product on the internet. Mexicans that live on the capital are more open to international companies, and they're one of the most brand loyal in the world. Mexicans place fourth on the biggest users in terms of time spent on networks. So, the most important point, is the Mexican market profitable? The answer is yes. Mexico's free trade policies place it in a highly accessible destination to over 40 countries. For this reason, Mexico is known as one of the top trade destinations in the world. They place 39 for doing business in, and it's primarily an export-oriented nation. Mexico's most productive industries are oil and gas, manufacturing, infrastructure, construction and development, aerospace, and ports and port services. So as a conclusion, it would be a really good destination for health aid. Also, since everything is pretty cheap in Mexico, it wouldn't be that expensive to build a second brewery. And in the last few years, the healthy diet lifestyle has become really popular in the country, so it would be a pretty good idea for them to go there. Now we're going to talk about our second brand, which is the Mexican brand that's trying to reach the American market. We will be discussing Foshu, which is a superfood brand created in this year, so it's a pretty new company. And they're trying to reach out the American market because they're growing really fast here in Mexico, and they want to see what they can do in the American market. Foshu Superfoods was created in 2019 by a team of licensed nutritionists. They create high quality superfoods, which are foods that have high nutrition benefits for our health. Currently, they have over 16 different products, and their median price is around 150 pesos. The brand is based on Monterrey, Mexico, and it's been doing pretty good. So, as I said before, one of their main goals for the next year is to reach the American market. So, they have contacted us so we can help them with that. Mainly here at Athensco, we work with Spanish-speaking countries, so we are working with them on that, and we will discuss the strategy that we have made for them so we can see how we can help them reach their goal. When it comes to the American political system, the US faces a wide range of domestic challenges related to the abuse of entrusted power for private gain. Key issues include the influence of wealthy individuals over government. 6 out of 10 people now say that the level of corruption has risen in the past 12 months, up from a third who said the same in January 2016. Now, when it comes to the American legal system and the government regulations, with this type of economy, the government is able to place regulatory restrictions on voluntary transactions in the private market. It can also, private establishments might require government-granted licenses to perform certain activities, and some activities might be banned altogether. Governments might also own public properties or provide public services and use tax policy. Now, in terms of the FDI, according to Select USA, the USA is the largest single recipient of FDI in the world. But since the global economy has developed, it has to compete to retain and attract new investment. The fastest growing sources of FDI in the United States by position are Argentina, China, Thailand, Ireland, Chile, Singapore, Bermuda, Belgium, Turkey, and Canada. When it comes to strong factors on why you should invest in America, it's because as a place to do business, the United States offers a predictable and transparent legal system. low taxes, outstanding infrastructure, and access to the world's most lucrative consumer market. Invest in America is a primary U.S. government mechanism to manage foreign direct investment promotion. And some reasons why you shouldn't invest in the American market. Well, the key factor here is the demand. While supply does change, its change is very small relative to the demand, which is the amount of money looking to invest in the market. So as more money goes into the market goes up. If money is coming out of the market, then the market goes down, which is a pretty vulnerable position for a company like Foshu. Now, on terms of the US environmental regulations, there are two basic traditional regulatory approaches. The first one is a technology or design standard that mandates specific control technologies or production processes that polluters must use to meet an emission standard. The second type of regulatory approach is a performance-based standard that also requires polluters to meet an emission standard, but it allows the polluter to choose any available method to meet that standard. Now, when it comes to the workplace culture in the USA, many Americans define themselves by their occupation. Americans have the tendency of living to work instead of working to live. The USA is the only industrialized country without national paid parental leave. A full-time employee in the US will work between 47 and 50 hours a week. The average US employee only takes about 50% of their allotted vacation time per year, and the companies often will invest in employees that can bring value on an individual level. Also, it's pretty well known that Americans are not used to take breaks when they're working, which is a pretty weird thing that only happens there. Now, when it comes to labor laws, employment benefits, minimum wage, and labor unions, there is a significant amount of labor laws that protect employees from discrimination either from race, color, religion, sex, pregnancy, etc. When it comes to employment benefits, they have relocation assistance, medical prescription, dental, healthcare, retirement, and benefit plans. And the minimum wage, it's $7.25 per hour. On the topic of the American trade laws, components of U.S. trade policy Congress sets the U.S. trade negotiation objectives, enact trade laws, program agreements, oversees executive trade functions conducted by a range of federal agencies. When it comes to free trade agreement with other countries, these are the different type of agreements that the USA has. They have the Australian FTA, the Bahrain FTA. The most important one is the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the United States, Mexico, Canada, which is the NAFTA. They have the Morocco FTA, the Oman TPA, the Jordan FTA. So they have a variety of different free trade agreement with other countries. When it comes to the American purchasing power, since millennials are our target audience, we will be focusing mainly on their purchasing power. Multicultural millennials have an estimated buying power of over $65 billion per year. Single women across all incomes spend on average $33,786 on goods and services in 2015 and 2016. In 2015, the LGBT population had an estimated income of $917 billion. When it comes to the American consumer, half of millennials aged 18 and 24 and over a third of millennials aged 25 to 34 years old indicated that brands say something about who they are, their values, and where they fit in. In 2017, over half of millennials reported being more likely to buy from a company led by a CEO who publicly took a stance on an issue they cared about. Now, is the American market profitable? The answer to that question is yes. Specifically because in the last few years, the American consumer has become increasingly worried about their health. Since our product is a superfood, meaning it's a healthy product, it would pretty much sell pretty fast. Also, the consumers in America are really, really good when it comes to consuming, so that is a good thing. So our strategy for us to get into the American market. So the first step is to choose the right market. The USA is a patchwork of local markets with different characteristics like regulations, taxes, laws, and customer service expectation. It is important to research the appropriate market for our business and choose according to geography. Second step is to differentiate our product, and the third step is to improve the technology. So that will be all for this day. Thank you so much for listening to this information. And the conclusion is that both companies can definitely have a successful entry into the market, and they can do that with our help. So thanks.